But anyway, to get back to the biochar. So I'm going to pop up an image here to give you a little bit of an idea of what biochar looks like. Share. There we go. If we look up here on the left-hand side, up over here, and I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. We'll just jump up a couple of more. You start to see the structure of biochar, or basically charcoal. Let's just start calling it just charcoal at this point. Consider 1 square inch, okay, or an inch cubed, 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. If you cut that down as thin as you can, that 1 inch of biochar would actually cover a football field. That's an amazing volume of space. Now remember, biology, guys, it's microscopic. It's tiny. It lives in there. It breeds in there. It creates life in there that can be self-sustaining, just like in the terra preta is self-sustaining. So this as char has just been, with the use of pyrolysis, has been cooked down and has become charcoal, and it is stable. The biology cannot use or eat through this. They're thinking for tens of thousands of years, this structure will maintain itself. So it's a non-organic carbon. The biology moves into this structure and it creates basically a world. It creates a city-state. It creates villages, etc., that are living and existing inside of this piece of biochar. You may have never heard me mention quorum sensing before. Basically, what quorum sensing is when a community of biology gathers together. It's like the think tanks. The more minds you put in the think tank, it elevates the mental capability of the whole group to a higher level. They've found with quorum sensing, and this happens in aggregation, so that clump of soil that you pull up on your root, that clump has been aggregated. They've found that when the biology gets together, it can do things that we can't do, okay? It can literally look at the environment around itself and say, we're missing biology that can mine these different components out of a soil structure. It can gather together all the necessary components and the biology to create the biology that's missing from your soil structure. Now, this does take time, and then that biology has to move out into your soil structure. That's where, if you're doing biological soaks, you're doing foliar sprays, you're helping that progress that much faster. It's one of the reasons we want to take that charcoal and add as much biology into that structure as we possibly can, and as much varied biology. We want to create that university, let's call it. Hey, Jeff, and allow them to look at the environment they exist in to see what's not there, create it, send it out for it to proliferate into the soil structure. Hey, Stone, once that's there, then your soil starts to progress that much faster because that university is there. You can look at it as, say, an industrial zone in the city that's making your siding for your house, that's making, concrete for basements, etc., etc., etc. Biochar, hey Shawnee, is a much safer environment for that to happen in a soil structure. So biochar is a hard substance. It's carbon, hunks of carbon, where an aggregate is, sand, silt, and clay glued together. So let's look at a worm moving through your soil structure. A worm can very easily go through an aggregate because it's just digging through the soil. So think of Godzilla coming and running through your city and eating a bunch of stuff as it goes. It's a catastrophe that you don't want to really happen, because maybe it just ate your university, okay, and all your scientists are gone, and now you got to start from scratch. Where with the hard carbon, even if it's tiny and the worm can consume it, it's not going to go through the damage that just a plain aggregate is going to go through. The life that exists inside, deeply inside of that, piece of char is going to survive very easily and comfortably. A lot of the biology that exists in the very heart is never even going to know it was consumed by a worm. Worms don't have a stomach. They don't have acid. They actually put out biology inside of their structure that goes out, consumes other biology to feed the worm. Okay. So inside of this carbon, that biology can't go in very far and is warded off. So it's a lot safer to keep the biology inside of that carbon. So the biochar that you see is charcoal that has been filled with biology. And we'll just go back to that structure again. It's got all of those holes. I don't know. Let's see if I can get that a little bit larger for you guys. You can see all those honeycombs going through everything there. Adding biology, it takes a significant amount of biology to fill these voids, for them to set up their shops, their construction facilities. The cabinet makers come in, and your artists come in, etc. It takes a large volume, and this is why we need to take the carbon that we've just cooked and add biology to it. So let's just take a look at what we can do to add biology into there. So there is a couple of different ways that people can start. Now, this is going to be a little bit gross for some people, but I know that urine actually can start the cycle of biology in there. It's just like you can actually use that in aquaponics to start that cycle in the aquaponics water to add that biology. So I would not do that. Other people may, but compost is one of the main things that people use to activate their biochar, because until you have that full of biology, it's simply char. You don't want to use that. If you do, if you put that in your soil without charging it with biology, don't expect any significant health benefits in your plants, etc., for that first year. It's going to take that time for the biology to move in, and it's going to focus on that. It's like if you come to a desert island, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to want to build a house. You're going to be focused on, food, water, clothing, housing, the basic necessities of life. And that's what's going to happen when the biology sees that hunk of char. They're going, hey, this is my desert island. I'm going to focus on this first so I can sustain my family, my generationally, in this substance where it's safer. It's just like putting a wood chip, burying a wood chip into the ground. The same thing is going to happen in there, because that wood chip, until it's totally broken down, is a safe environment for the biology. That's one of the things that biochar becomes, is a very safe environment for the biology to exist in your soil structure. So we've looked at, doing compost. You can also look at things that you make. So if you're making a compost teas, if you're making compost extracts, if you're getting products like End Soil, their algae product, you're getting fish brew. These are products that you can put in with the biochar to really work on the proliferation of life very quickly, because considering in, say, a compost tea, you're focused on growing biology in that compost tea. If you put a hunk of biochar in there, then the growth of that biology, a bunch of it's going to go into the biochar and populate it.